There's a basic premise to the do-it-right system. Learning to write well, one step at a time. So as you work on the writing assignments here in level 1, you have to be aware of and strive for correctness in your punctuation, your spelling, your sentence structure, and other aspects of writing such as your diction and your grammar and all of those things. But now here's the important thing. It's imperative, though, that throughout all of the lessons here in level 1, remember the following basic premise of the Do It Right program. The crux of the matter is that all of those things, punctuation, spelling, sentence structure, diction and grammar, all of those things are important, but they are of secondary importance in terms of emphasis at this time in the learning process. In other words, the main emphasis and focus is on the specific skill or expository writing topic that you're being taught in that specific lesson. So if you're doing a lesson, for example, on coherence, and least to most important coherence, for example, then that should be the major emphasis or your major focus as you evaluate the writing for that assignment. Always keep the central point of the lesson in the foreground. And I guess an analogy would be if you would imagine that you're trying to learn how to cook lasagna. I don't know about you, but I'm a lousy cook. So someone would have to teach me. But the central focus would be on the recipe and the technique for preparing lasagna. If the person teaching you spent time telling you how to sharpen a knife, how to cut celery, how to organize your kitchen, what kind of lighting you should have in your kitchen, how to select the best stove, where to go to find the best selection of pots and pans and other information like that, guess what? A recipe for good lasagna would probably get lost in all the clutter. There's just too much. Not that those things aren't important, but if that lesson is on how to prepare lasagna, that's where the major emphasis should be. You've all heard the famous words of wisdom of Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, who said, quote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." That was said, by the way, back in about 500 BC, a few years ago. But learning the skills of expository writing is a process like that. You learn to write with a gradual and clear progression, and you always keep the focus of the lesson in the foreground. We travel the writing journey of 1,000 miles, taking a single step at a time. So now, we should also stress that effective writing isn't a haphazard thing. There are definite writing skills that can be learned, and there's an actual process that paves the way for effective writing. And the best way to master that is to learn those skills and to practice them frequently rather. Again, another analogy, if you want to become a good swimmer, you have to learn the skills, and then you have to get in the water and swim often. And if you aren't taught the skills, you'll be a non-swimmer or stay at the level of a dog paddle. And even if you're taught the skills but never get into the water, you won't become a good swimmer. You can't just read about it. You have to jump into the pool and swim. So that's the way writing is. You have to learn the skills and then apply those by writing often. And it reminds me, as I look here, of another famous passage that's, quote, "Look with favor upon a bold beginning," end quote. That was Virgil, and that was from about 50 BC. So that's another pearl of wisdom from the ancient times. But what we're doing right now is we have what we'd call a bold beginning as you begin your quest to master the basic skills of written composition. And again, skills. That's the key word in the sentence, and it's good news because it means we're actually talking about definite skills and techniques. Some people say, "I wasn't born a good writer." You didn't know how to walk when you were born. You learned how to walk, and you learned that by getting up and on your 2 feet and walking, and that's where writing is. You can actually learn these skills. And before we venture into the realm of the basic skills of written communication, we have to have a common understanding, and that is we're talking about expository writing. So expository writing, we should say, well, what is that? Expository writing is a process, I would say, of transferring the thoughts that you have in your head onto the blank page that's in front of you. Expository writing explains, it clarifies, it informs people, and it persuades people. It's that simple. So it does all those things as opposed to creative writing. Okay, so when we're doing Expository writing, we're explaining things for people. We're clarifying things. In a sense, you're teaching them and you're persuading them. You have the thoughts in your mind, and when you write through expository writing, you're presenting those mental pictures. And it's as simple as that. Betsy Byers once, an author, once said, quote, "Writing is like baseball or piano playing. You have to practice if you want to be successful." And end quote. And Betsy was certainly correct. And you'll have many opportunities to practice your writing skills here in our program. So the overall, if you needed an overview, we'd say first, this is the process. First, you learn the individual skill. You look and you're taught a skill. Secondly, you practice that skill, you apply it. Third, you obtain that skill, and then fourth, you apply and use that. Okay, so that's an important process.